Hey, Cathy, how you doing?
All right.
Most of my friends' comments over it has been, oh, there goes the jobs.
Good.
Like Dominion and...
Yeah, good question.
And the landmark.
It sounds like somebody's prepping you on that question. You mean you're talking about the other entities that Landmark owns and the prospect of job loss as a result?
Same time.
Okay, Gary.
Whole jobs.
Thanks.
And of course, the other thing, like for me, I haven't picked up a paper physically in, I don't know how, as in purchased, in how long.
Yeah.
So most of it is online for me.
Yeah. Gary, great points. Thank you for the call. And we should note that which is in the paper, the same staff and commitment is required to put it online as well. Bill Choyke, what about the prospect of job loss? That's certainly something near and dear to our hearts.
Well, it certainly is near and dear to my heart as well as my colleagues' heart. I don't think you can in any way speculate. The pilot is a unique entity because of the 5 towns it serves. It has some tabs. We have, I think, 232 FTEs, full-time equivalent employees. Our circulation for the 6 months that ended in September was 186,500. One of the norms often used is one employer FTE per 1,000 circulation. Whether that's a legitimate norm or not, the industry uses it, and Ms. Fine might be able to speak to it better, which would suggest any new owner might come in and trim, but it's much too early to speculate.
Sure. It is too early to speculate, and I would not put you in that position, Bill Choyke. I would, however, put Lauren Rich Fine in that position because she has nothing to lose. Speculate for us, will you, about potential companies or individuals who might be interested in some of the properties of Landmark, and speculate for us, if you will, on this question of why. We sort of established the why now thing. Maybe the why is an interesting question.
Well, I think, the first company that comes to mind for me is Media General, just given the proximity of some of their, newspapers, TV stations, knowledge of the region. And
owning properties in Richmond, the Richmond Times-Dispatch, yeah.
Yeah, and there's always been a sense that there is some economic benefit to clustering, much like we just talked about, even, just in your, specific region. You still can bundle print operations and things like that. You could still bundle some of the back office in terms of circulation, call centers, and the like. But typically, there's no way to really characterize who the likely buyers could be. In some of the bigger company sales, whether it was Knight Ridder or Tribune, both of which have sold in the last couple of years, there hasn't been an obvious list of industry candidates. McClatchy bought Knight Ridder and sold a number of the properties, and they're suffering as a result of the debt that they took on in the acquisition. It would seem unlikely to me that any of the public companies would be interested in adding more right now, given where their own stocks are and given the credit crunch. Yet I wouldn't underestimate a local buyer surfacing. I don't know your community, but if you look at the...
It won't be Bill or I'm pretty sure.
But if you look at the history of the industry and who launched papers, it was typically somebody with a passion for information, for politics, and personal gain. But by that, I don't mean economic gain, but just, sort of getting invited to the right parties even. And I think the industry in some ways starts to go back in that direction, that it does become more local, whether it's a larger corporate owner or not. It becomes more local in terms of offering information that's distinct that you can't get elsewhere, whether it's online or in print or more database-driven.
Right. Well, it's a story that will continue to unfold in our community beyond our clock, I'm afraid. Lauren Rich Fine, thank you very much for joining us today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're most welcome. Lauren Rich Fine is a practitioner in residence at Kent State University. By the way, the Vice President and General Manager of the Virginian-Pilot, Maurice Jones, had already been scheduled to speak to the Hampton Roads Chapter of the American Marketing Association tomorrow. But in fact, they had so many people wanting to hear him talk that they've moved it to a larger venue. And you can find out more at the American Marketing Association's Hampton Roads Chapter website. Bill Choyke, I suspect we will talk again, and I thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Take good care now. That's Bill Choyke, who's the business editor at the Virginian-Pilot, who is in that unique position of covering it from a journalistic perspective and also living it as an employee of one of the Landmark properties. Thanks so much for listening today. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.